The planet had no name. It was simply called KR 7 inches, the human star maps. It was a dangerous world, with thick forests, heavy rain, and creatures that hunted anything that moved. But the exploration vessel Horizon had orders to survey it, and Lieutenant Yuna was part of the ground team. Yuna was not a soldier, she was a medic. Her job was to keep the team alive if something went wrong. She carried medical supplies in her backpack, and a small weapon on her belt that she had never fired outside of training. She was 29 years old, with short black hair and calm eyes that had seen many injuries but never war. The team leader was a man named Taeho. He was tall and serious, with a scar on his chin from an accident years ago. He did not like this planet. The readings showed too many life signs, too many predators, and the weather was getting worse. "We have 2 hours," Taeho said to the team of 6. "Collect samples, scan the area, and return to the shuttle. No one goes alone. No one plays hero." Yuna nodded with the others. She stayed close to the group as they moved through the wet forest. The trees were tall and dark, with leaves that blocked most of the light. Strange sounds came from everywhere. Birds that were not really birds. Animals that clicked and growled in the shadows. After 1 hour, they had collected enough samples. Taeho ordered them to return. But as they walked back toward the shuttle, Yuna heard something different. It was not a growl or a click. It was a cry. A small, weak cry like a baby in pain. She stopped walking. The sound came from her left, deeper in the forest. "Yuna," Taeho called. "Keep moving." "I heard something," she said. "I know. This planet is full of sounds. Ignore them." But she could not ignore it. The cry came again. Softer this time. It sounded afraid. It sounded alone. Yuna looked at Taeho. "It sounds like something young. Something hurt." Taeho shook his head. "It could be a trap. Some predators use sounds to attract prey. We are leaving." And the team continued walking. Yuna followed, but her feet felt heavy. Every step took her farther from that sound. She thought about her training. She thought about the rules. Then she thought about the cry. Weak and scared in the dark forest, she made her decision. "I have to check," she said. And before Taeho could stop her, she ran into the trees. "Yuna!" Taeho shouted. He cursed loudly and ordered 2 team members to follow her while the others secured the shuttle. Yuna ran fast, following the sound. The forest became thicker. Branches scratched her face and arms. Rain started falling harder. But she kept going until she found it. In a small clearing, lying in the mud, was a creature she had never seen before. It was about the size of a large dog, covered in silver-blue fur that was now dirty and wet. It had 4 legs, a long tail, and a face that looked almost like a fox but with larger eyes. Those eyes were gold and filled with fear. The creature was young, clearly a cub of some kind. And it was hurt. One of its back legs was bent wrong, probably broken. Near the cub were 2 dead adults, much larger versions of the same species. They had been killed recently. Bite marks covered their bodies. Something had attacked this family and left the cub to die. Yuna moved slowly toward the cub. It tried to crawl away but cried out in pain. "It is okay," Yuna whispered softly. "I will not hurt you." She knelt down and opened her medical bag. She had supplies for humans, but some things worked on all living beings. She found a pain injection and carefully gave it to the cub. The creature flinched but did not bite her. After a moment, its breathing became easier. "Good," Yuna said. "Good little one." She heard Taeho and the others arrive behind her. They saw the scene and understood. "We need to go," Taeho said. His voice was less angry now. Whatever killed those adults might still be close. As if answering his words, a deep growl came from the trees. Then another. Then 3 more. Dark shapes moved in the shadows. Eyes reflected what little light came through the leaves. The predators had returned. "Run," Taeho ordered. "Now." The team started running toward the shuttle. But Yuna looked at the cub. It could not run. It could not even stand. Go ahead, she told Tejo. I will catch up. Are you crazy? Leave it. I cannot. She picked up the cub in her arms. It was heavier than she expected, but she held it tight and started running. The cub did not fight her. It pressed its face against her chest. Trembling, the predators came fast. They were large, black creatures with too many legs and mouths full of teeth. One of them jumped at Yuna from the side. She turned her body to protect the cub, and the creature's claws cut deep into her back. She screamed but kept running. Blood ran down her spine. Pain exploded through her body. But she did not drop the cub. She held it tighter. Another predator came close. Tejo fired his weapon and killed it. He grabbed Yuna's arm and pulled her forward. The shuttle was close now. She could see its lights through the rain. Almost there, Tejo shouted. Keep moving. A third predator hit Yuna from behind. She fell forward, throwing the cub gently onto soft ground before her body crashed into the mud. The creature bit into her leg, and she felt bone break. She could not move anymore, but she looked at the cub. It was safe. It was watching her with those big golden eyes, filled with something she could not name. Fear, confusion, and something else. Something deeper. Run, she whispered to it. Go. Live. Tejo killed the predator on her leg. He lifted Yuna onto his shoulder. She was barely conscious now. Blood loss and pain were taking her away. As Tejo carried her to the shuttle, Yuna looked back one last time. The cub was standing now, putting weight on its hurt leg despite the pain. It was watching her. It did not run away. It did not hide. It just watched, as if trying to remember everything about her face. Then the shuttle door closed, and Yuna saw only darkness. The medical team on the horizon worked for 6 hours to save her life. They fixed her back, repaired her leg, and gave her new blood. But something was wrong with her brain. The blood loss had been too much. The trauma too severe. Yuna did not wake up. She lay in a white bed, breathing slowly, her heart beating steady but her eyes closed. The doctors said she was in a coma. They did not know when she would wake up. They did not know if she would wake up. Tejo visited her room that night. He sat beside her bed and looked at her peaceful face. You stupid brave woman, he said quietly. You almost died for an alien animal. But even as he said it, he felt something strange. On that planet, in that moment, Yuna had shown something powerful. Something human. She had risked everything for a creature she did not know, simply because it was small and hurt and afraid. Maybe that was stupid. Or maybe it was the most human thing anyone could do. Far away, on the planet with no name, a silver-blue cub limped through the forest. Its leg hurt, but it could walk. The pain medicine the human had given still worked a little. The cub found shelter in a cave and lay down, but it did not sleep. It kept thinking about the human with the kind eyes and gentle hands. The human who had protected it when everything else had tried to kill it. The cub was young, but its species had perfect memory. They never forgot anything. Ever. And this cub would never forget her. 3 months passed since the mission to planet KR7. The exploration vessel Horizon had returned to Earth space and docked at Starlight Medical Station. This station floated in orbit above Earth, a place where the most difficult medical cases were treated. Yuna lay in room 47, bed 3. She had not moved since they brought her here. Machines breathed for her. Tubes fed her. Monitors showed her heart beating. Her brain active but sleeping. The doctors checked on her every day, but their faces showed little hope. Her body is healing, Dr. Mina explained to visitors. But her mind is locked. We call it a deep trauma coma. Sometimes patients wake up in weeks, sometimes months, sometimes never. We cannot predict it. Yuna had one regular visitor. His name was Jinho, and he was her younger brother. He was 25 years old, with the same black hair as his sister, and the same calm eyes, but his eyes were not calm anymore. They were tired and sad. Jinho came every week. He sat in the chair beside her bed and talked to her, even though she could not answer. "Hello, sister," he said on his first visit. "The doctors say you might hear me, even if you cannot respond. So I will talk. I will tell you everything that happens, and when you wake up, you will not have missed anything." He told her about their parents, who called every day asking about her condition. He told her about the weather on Earth, which was getting warmer as summer approached. He told her small things, normal things, because he wanted her to feel that life was still waiting for her. Weeks turned into months. Jinho kept coming. He read her reports about space missions. He played her favorite music. He held her hand and told her stories from their childhood, hoping something would reach her. One day, he arrived with strange news. "Something interesting happened," he said, sitting in his usual chair. "The Galactic Council made an announcement. Do you remember the Valari? That alien species we learned about in school? The ones with perfect memory who live in the outer systems?" He paused, as if expecting her to answer. Of course, she did not. "Well, a Valari delegation arrived at Earth's diplomatic station yesterday. This is unusual because the Valari rarely leave their own territory. They think humans are too young as a species, too primitive. They usually ignore us." Jinho looked at the datapad in his hand. "But here is the strange part. The delegation is asking questions. They want information about a human female. A human female who was on a planet called KR7 about 3 months ago." He looked at his sister's sleeping face. Something cold moved through his heart. "Yuna," he whispered, "what did you do on that planet? Far from Earth, in a great ship that moved through the stars, a young Valari named Kira stood before the elders of her people. She was no longer a small cub. 3 months had passed, and Valari grew fast. She now stood at full adult height, nearly 7 feet tall. Her silver-blue fur was clean and healthy. Her golden eyes were sharp and intelligent, but her heart was troubled. "You wish to find this human," Elder Sora said. He was ancient. His fur turned white with age, his voice deep and slow. "Tell us why." Kira stood straight. In her culture, standing straight showed respect and honesty. "I carry a life debt," she said. "This human saved my life when I was a cub. She protected me from predators. She gave me medicine for my pain. She carried me in her arms when I could not walk. And she was hurt because of me, badly hurt." The elders looked at each other. Life debts were sacred among the Valari. They could not be ignored or forgotten. A Valari who owed a life debt had to repay it, no matter how long it took. "Humans are fragile creatures," another elder named Bora said. "They live short lives. They are young in the galaxy. What makes this one worth your attention?" Kira felt anger rise in her chest, but she controlled it. "I saw her face when she protected me. She knew she might die. She was afraid, but she did it anyway. Not for reward, not for duty. She did it because I was small and hurt and alone." She paused, letting her words settle. "I have perfect memory, like all of us. I remember every moment, every expression on her face, every gentle word she spoke. She called me little one. She told me everything would be okay. She made me feel safe in a moment when nothing was safe." Elder Sora was quiet for a long time. Finally, he spoke. "We will help you find information about this human. But understand, Kira, if you enter human space, you enter as a representative of our people. Your actions will reflect on all Valari." Quote, "I understand," Kira said. "I will bring honor to our people. But I must find her. I must know if she survived." The elders agreed. They sent messages to the Galactic Council, requesting information about human activities on planet KR7. The response came quickly. The planet had been surveyed by a human vessel called Horizon. One crew member had been seriously injured during the mission. Her name was Yuna. She was currently in a medical facility in Earth orbit, in a coma. Kira read the report 5 times. Each time, the words hurt more. A coma. The human was sleeping, and might never wake up. She had given so much to save Kira, and now she lay alone in a hospital, trapped in darkness. Kira made a decision that no Valari had made in 100 years. I request permission to travel to human space, she announced to the council. I must see this human. I must repay my debt. The request shocked everyone. Valari did not enter human territory. It was considered beneath them. Some elders argued against it. They said humans were too primitive, too emotional, too chaotic. They said Kira was wasting her time on a species that would be forgotten by history. But Kira did not change her mind. My debt is not to humanity, she said. My debt is to one human. One person who showed kindness when she had nothing to gain. If we ignore such acts, what does that say about us? Elder Sora supported her. He remembered old stories. Stories from before the Valari became proud and isolated. Stories about connections between species. About kindness crossing the distance of stars. Let her go, he said. Perhaps she will learn something. Perhaps we all will. Kira received permission. She boarded a small diplomatic vessel and began the long journey to Earth. It would take weeks to arrive. During that time, she thought about the human called Yuna. She wondered what she looked like now. She wondered if she would ever open her eyes again. Back on Starlight Medical Station, Jinho continued his weekly visits. Spring turned to summer, and summer began turning to fall. Yuna remained the same. Breathing, sleeping, waiting. One evening, Jinho received a strange message on his communication device. It was from the diplomatic office of Earth's Galactic Relations Department. Mr. Jinho, the message read, "We have received an unusual request. A Valari citizen is requesting permission to visit Starlight Medical Station. Specifically, she wishes to see your sister, Lieutenant Yuna. The Valari claims to have met your sister on planet KR7 and wishes to pay respects. Please confirm if you will allow this visit." Ride. Jinho stared at the message for a long time. A Valari? Coming to see Yuna? But Valari never visited humans. They thought humans were too young, too unimportant. Then he remembered the reports, the alien cub, the rescue, the injuries Yuna received while protecting a small creature from predators. Could it be? He sent his reply immediately. Permission granted. I would like to meet this Valari myself. 2 days later, Kira's ship arrived at Earth. It was the first Valari vessel to enter Earth orbit in over 50 years. News channels reported on it constantly. Humans gathered at viewing stations to watch the alien ship dock. Kira stepped out of her vessel and walked through the diplomatic corridors. Humans stared at her with wide eyes. She was tall and powerful, with silver blue fur and golden eyes that seemed to see everything. She wore simple clothing in the style of her people and carried no weapons. A young human man waited for her at the end of the corridor. He looked tired and worried, but he stood straight and met her eyes without fear. I am Jinho, he said. Yuna's brother. Kira studied his face. She could see the resemblance. The same eyes, the same shape of the nose. This was family. I am Kira, she said, her voice deep but gentle. Your sister saved my life. I have come to see her. Ah, Jinho nodded slowly. She never told us exactly what happened on that planet. She was injured before she could make her report. But I had a feeling it was something like this. He led her toward the medical station. As they walked, Kira asked one question. Does she know that anyone is waiting for her? Jinho was quiet for a moment. Then he said, I talk to her every week. I tell her everything. I told her about you, about the Valari delegation, asking questions. Maybe she heard. Maybe she did not. But I hope, somewhere in her dreams, she knows she is not alone. Kira felt something warm in her chest. This was a good family. This was a brother who loved his sister. Then I will wait with you, Kira said. I will wait as long as it takes. Because she waited for me when no one else would. They reached the medical station together. Inside, in room 47, bed 3, Yuna continued her long sleep. She did not know that a friend from another world had traveled across the stars to find her. But soon, she would. Kira stood outside room 47 for a long time before entering. Her heart beat fast, and her breath came in short bursts. She had traveled so far. She had searched for so long. And now, finally, she would see the human who had saved her life. Jinho stood beside her. He understood her hesitation. "Take your time," he said softly. "She looks peaceful. The machines keep her comfortable. She feels no pain." Kira nodded and stepped through the door. The room was small and white. A single window showed the stars outside and the blue curve of Earth below. Medical machines hummed quietly. And in the center of the room, in a simple bed, lay Yuna. Kira walked slowly toward the bed. Her golden eyes studied every detail of the human's face. Yes, this was her. This was the woman who had knelt in the mud, who had whispered gentle words, who had carried a wounded cub through a forest of monsters. But now Yuna looked so fragile, so still. Her black hair spread across the white pillow. Her eyes were closed. Her face relaxed. She looked like she was having a peaceful dream. Kira knelt beside the bed. In her culture, kneeling was the highest sign of respect. It meant you were placing yourself lower than another, recognizing their value above your own. "I found you," Kira whispered in her own language. Then she switched to the human tongue, which she had studied during her journey. "I found you, kind one. I am here now." There was no response. Yuna continued sleeping, her chest rising and falling slowly. Jinho watched from the doorway. He felt strange emotions seeing this tall alien creature kneel beside his sister's bed. It was beautiful and sad at the same time. "You really do remember her," he said. Kira did not turn around. "I remember everything. The rain on her face, the blood on her back, the way she smiled at me even when she was afraid. My people never forget. It is both our gift and our burden." She reached out carefully and touched Yuna's hand. The human's skin was warm and soft, so different from Valari fur. "I was small and weak," Kira continued. "My parents had just been killed. Predators were coming to finish what they started. I was ready to die. And then she appeared, a creature I had never seen before. She could have ignored me. She could have run to safety. But instead, she picked me up and protected me with her own body." Kira's voice trembled slightly. "I watched her fall. I saw the blood. I heard her tell me to run, to live. And then her people took her away. And I did not know if she was alive or dead." Jinho moved into the room and sat in his usual chair. "How did you survive? You were just a cub, alone on a dangerous planet." "I survived because of her," Kira said. "The medicine she gave me helped my leg heal. I found food and shelter. But more than that, she gave me something to live for. I made a promise to myself that night. I promised I would find her. I would thank her. I would repay my debt." "Rulnin." She looked at Jinho. "Among my people, a life debt is sacred. When someone saves your life, you owe them everything. Your time, your protection, your loyalty. Until the debt is repaid, you are not complete." Jinho nodded slowly. "And how do you repay a life debt?" "By protecting the one who saved you. By being there when they need help. By never abandoning them. No matter what happens." She turned back to Yuna. "So I will stay. I will wait. And when she wakes up, I will be here." Days passed, then weeks. Kira did not leave Starlight Medical Station. She requested and received permission to stay in a room near Yuna's ward. Every day, she visited room 47 and sat beside the bed. Sometimes she talked. Sometimes she was silent, but she was always there. The hospital staff were confused at first. A Valari in their station? The proud species that thought humans were primitive? But Kira was polite and respectful. She learned the names of all the doctors and nurses. She asked questions about human medicine. She even helped with small tasks, using her strength to move equipment or her keen eyes to spot problems. Slowly, the staff began to accept her. Some even liked her. Dr. Mina was especially curious. "Your species has perfect memory," she said one day while checking Yuna's vital signs. "That must be difficult sometimes. You can never forget painful things." Kira considered this. "It is both difficult and wonderful. I cannot forget pain, but I also cannot forget joy. I remember every sunset I have seen, every kind word spoken to me, every moment of beauty and love." She looked at Yuna. "I remember every second she spent saving me, every small kindness, every sacrifice. That is why I am here, because I remember, and because remembering means something." Dr. Mina smiled softly. "She would like you, I think." Yuna was always the kindest person in any room. She became a medic because she wanted to help people. She said that healing was the most important thing anyone could do. "She healed me," Kira said simply. "Not just my body. My heart as well. Not just my body." News of Kira's presence spread beyond the station. Reporters wanted interviews. The Galactic Council wanted updates. Other Valari were confused and some were angry. Why was one of their people staying with a primitive human? But Kira ignored them all. She had one purpose, one mission, and nothing would distract her from it. Jinho continued his weekly visits, but now he was not alone. He and Kira often sat together beside Yuna's bed, sharing stories about her. "When we were children," Jinho said one day, "Yuna found a bird with a broken wing in our garden. She kept it in a box and fed it every day for 2 months until it could fly again. My parents told her the bird probably would not survive, but she refused to give up." Kira smiled. "That is who she is. She does not give up on those who are hurt." "No," Jinho agreed. "She never does." Another week passed, then another. Yuna showed no signs of waking. The doctors began using gentler words, preparing Jinho for the possibility that she might never recover. But Kira refused to accept this. "She is strong," Kira said to Jinho one evening. "I saw her strength on that planet. She survived wounds that should have killed her. She protected me when every instinct must have told her to run. A spirit like that does not simply fade away." Jinho looked at the Valari with tired eyes. "How can you be so sure?" "Because I know what it feels like to be saved by her. I know the power of her kindness. That power does not disappear. It stays, it fights. It waits for the right moment to return." Jinho wanted to believe her. He wanted to hope, but months of sitting beside an unmoving body had worn down his faith. That night, Kira stayed in Yuna's room instead of returning to her own quarters. She sat in the darkness, lit only by the glow of machines and the distant stars outside the window. "I do not know if you can hear me," she said softly to Yuna, "but I want you to know that you are not alone. I am here. Your brother is here. People who love you are waiting for you." She leaned closer. "On my world, we believe that memory is the bridge between souls. I remember you perfectly. Every detail of your face. Every gentle word you spoke. That memory connects us. It means you are part of me now, forever." Kira placed her large, furry hand over Yuna's small human one. "So please, kind one, please come back. There is a life waiting for you. There are people who need to thank you. There is a debt that must be repaid." The machines hummed. Yuna's heart beat steadily. But still, she did not wake. Kira lowered her head. For the first time since she was a frightened cub, she felt tears form in her golden eyes. "Please," she whispered again. "Please come back to us." The night passed. Morning came. The stars faded, and Earth filled the window with blue light. Dr. Mina entered for the morning check, nodded to Kira, and began reviewing the monitors. Then she stopped. Her eyes widened. Her hands moved quickly across the machines. "What is it?" Kira asked, rising to her feet. Dr. Mina turned to look at her. There was something new in her expression. Something bright. "Her brain activity," the doctor said slowly. "It changed overnight. It increased significantly. She is becoming more responsive. Kira felt her heart stop for a moment. What does that mean? Dr. Mina smiled, and it was the first real smile Kira had seen from her. It means she might be waking up. The next few days moved slowly and quickly at the same time. Dr. Mina ran many tests on Yuna. She checked brainwaves, measured responses, and watched for any small sign of improvement. Jinho rushed to the station as soon as he heard the news. He stood beside Kira, both of them watching Yuna's face for any movement. It could take time, Dr. Mina warned them. The brain is waking up slowly, like climbing out of deep water. She has to come up one level at a time. But she will wake up? Jinho asked, his voice shaking. The signs are good, better than they have been in months. But I cannot promise anything. Kira said nothing. She simply watched Yuna's face with her perfect memory, recording every tiny detail. She would remember this moment forever. Whether it ended in joy or sadness, days passed. Yuna's fingers began to twitch sometimes. Her eyelids moved slightly. Small sounds came from her throat. Not words yet, but sounds. Each tiny change felt like a miracle. Kira barely slept. She stayed in the room or just outside, waiting, watching, hoping. One morning, 11 days after her brain activity first increased, something changed. Kira was sitting beside the bed, holding Yuna's hand as she often did now. The sun was rising over Earth, filling the room with golden light. And in that light, Yuna's eyelids moved more than they had before. They trembled. They struggled. And then, slowly, Kira's breath stopped. She stared at those eyes, those human eyes, looking at the ceiling, confused and unfocused. "Doctor," Kira called out, her voice louder than she meant it to be. "She is awake. Her eyes are open." Dr. Mina rushed into the room. Jinho followed right behind her. They all gathered around the bed, watching as Yuna's eyes slowly moved, trying to understand where she was. "Yuna?" Dr. Mina said softly. "Can you hear me? You are in a hospital. You are safe. Cello. 9. 9. 9. Yuna's mouth moved. No sound came out at first. Then, a whisper. "Where?" "You are in orbit above Earth," Dr. Mina explained gently. "You have been sleeping for a long time. Almost 5 months. But you are awake now. Everything is okay." Yuna's eyes moved around the room. She saw the machines. She saw the window with Earth below. She saw her brother Jinho standing nearby, tears running down his face. "Jin-ho," she whispered. Jinho rushed forward and took her hand. "I am here. Sister, I am here. I came every week. I talked to you. I never stopped believing you would wake up." Yuna's eyes filled with tears. She squeezed her brother's hand weakly. Then her gaze continued moving around the room. She saw Dr. Mina. She saw the other nurses who had gathered at the door, and then she saw Kira. Her eyes stopped. Her breath caught. She stared at the tall Valari standing beside her bed, silver blue fur and golden eyes. Watching her with an expression of deep emotion, Yuna's mouth moved, trying to form words. Her mind was still confused, still climbing out of the darkness. But something stirred in her memory. A forest, rain, a small creature with golden eyes. "The cub," she whispered. Kira felt those words hit her heart like lightning. She stepped closer to the bed and knelt down, placing herself at eye level with Yuna. "Yes," Kira said, her voice thick with emotion. "I was the cub. You saved my life. You carried me through the forest. You protected me with your own body." Yuna stared at her. Her confused mind struggled to understand. The cub had been small, the size of a large dog. This creature before her was 7 feet tall, powerful, and beautiful. "You grew up," Yuna whispered. Kira smiled. And it was the most genuine smile she had ever given. "I grew up. It took months to find you. Months to reach Earth. And then I waited. I waited beside your bed for 11 days, hoping you would wake up. You waited. For me? I would have waited forever, Kira said simply. You saved my life. You gave me a second chance to live. Among my people, that creates a bond that can never be broken. I owe you everything, and I will spend the rest of my life repaying that debt. Yuna did not know what to say. She looked at this alien creature, this being from another world, kneeling beside her bed with tears in her golden eyes. It seemed impossible. It seemed like a dream. But Kira's hand, large and warm, took hers gently. The touch was real. The moment was real. You called me little one, Kira said softly. You told me everything would be okay. Do you remember? Yuna's memory stirred. The forest. The rain. The small, frightened cub looking up at her. She had picked it up, held it close, whispered words of comfort even as predators closed in around them. I remember, she whispered. You were so scared, but you did not bite me. You trusted me. I knew, Kira said. Even then, even as a cub, I knew you were different. I knew you were kind. The room was silent, except for the soft beeping of machines. Jinho watched his sister speaking with an alien creature, connected by an act of kindness that had happened months ago on a distant planet. It was beautiful and strange and wonderful. My people have a phrase, Kira continued. Mother of my second life. It is what we call someone who saves us when we should have died. You are that for me. You gave me life when death was certain. Yuna felt tears slide down her cheeks. She was weak and confused, barely able to lift her hand. But she managed to reach up and touch Kira's face, feeling the soft fur beneath her fingers. I am glad you lived, Yuna whispered. I was afraid. I thought you might have died after they took me away. I lived because of you. Your medicine healed my leg. Your courage gave me hope. And your memory stayed with me every day since then. Dr. Mina stepped forward gently. I am sorry to interrupt, but Yuna needs rest. She just woke from a long coma. We need to run tests and make sure she is recovering properly. Kira nodded and stood up. But before she left the bedside, she spoke one more time. I will be outside, she told Yuna. I will not leave this station until you are well. And even then, I will stay nearby. This I promise you. Yuna managed a weak smile. Thank you, friend. That single word, friend, struck Kira harder than any weapon could. She bowed her head in the Valari way and walked out of the room. In the corridor, she leaned against the wall and closed her eyes. Her heart beat fast. Her body trembled. After all the searching, all the waiting, all the hoping, it had finally happened. Yuna was awake. She remembered. And she had called Kira a friend. Over the following days, Yuna grew stronger. She could sit up in bed. She could eat soft food. She could talk in full sentences. Her body was weak from months of sleep. But her spirit was strong. Kira visited every day. She brought flowers from the station's garden, strange plants that grew under artificial lights. She brought news from her home world, stories about Valari culture, and explanations of the life debt that bound them together. Yuna listened to everything with curiosity and wonder. She had never met a Valari before that day in the forest. She knew nothing about their society, their beliefs, their way of life. But Kira was patient. She explained everything, answered every question, and shared her memories freely. Your species really never forgets anything? Yuna asked one afternoon. Never, Kira confirmed. Every moment of our lives stays with us forever. It can be painful sometimes. We cannot forget loss or sadness. But it also means we cannot forget love. We cannot forget kindness. She looked at Yuna with her golden eyes. I will remember every moment with you forever. Long after you are gone, I will still carry your memory. Your kindness will be part of me always. Yuna felt something deep stir in her heart. She had risked her life on instinct, wanting to help a small hurt creature. She had not expected anything in return. But now she had gained something precious, A connection that crossed the distance between stars. A friendship that might last longer than her own life. I want to know more about your people, Yuna said. When I am well enough, will you tell me everything? Kira smiled brightly. I will tell you whatever you wish to know. And when you are strong enough, perhaps you will visit my home world. You would be the first human invited to Valari space in over a century. Yuna laughed softly. I just woke up from a coma. And you are already planning trips across the galaxy? Life is precious, Kira said seriously. You taught me that. We should not waste any moment of it. Jinho visited that evening. He found his sister sitting up in bed, color returning to her cheeks, life returning to her eyes. You look better, he said, sitting beside her. I feel better, Yuna agreed. Still tired, still weak, but better. Jinho was quiet for a moment. Then he said, That alien. Kira. She really cares about you. I know, Yuna said. It is strange. I saved a cub for 5 minutes on a planet I did not even know. And now I have a friend who traveled across the galaxy to find me. Is that what she is? A friend? Yuna thought about it. She thought about Kira kneeling beside her bed, waiting for her to wake up. She thought about the tears in those golden eyes, the sincerity in that deep voice. Yes, she said finally. She is my friend. Maybe the strangest friend I will ever have. But real. True. And that matters more than anything. Jinho nodded slowly. He had always known his sister had a kind heart, but he had never imagined that kindness would connect her to beings from another world. Mom and Dad want to meet her, he said with a small smile. They have been watching the news reports. A Valari visiting a human hospital is apparently very big news. Yuna laughed. I bet it is. Tell them they can visit when I am stronger. And tell them to be nice to Kira. She is family now. Jinho raised an eyebrow. Family? Yes. Yuna said simply. She risked everything to find me. She waited by my side when I was sleeping. She is loyal and true. And kind. That makes her family. That makes her ours. Jinho smiled, and for the first time in months, the smile reached his eyes. Okay, he said. I will tell them, and I will make sure they are nice to our new alien sister. Outside the room, Kira heard every word. She stood still, her hearts full of warmth, her memory capturing this moment perfectly. Family. Yuna had called her family. The debt between them was still not repaid. Perhaps it never would be. But that did not matter anymore. Because something new had grown between them. Something stronger than debt or obligation. It was love. Simple, true, and eternal. And Kira knew she would carry that love forever. 6 months after waking from her coma, Yuna stood at the center of the Galactic Council chamber. It was a massive room on a neutral space station, where representatives from dozens of species gathered to discuss matters that affected the whole galaxy. High ceilings stretched overhead. Strange lights glowed from walls made of materials Yuna did not recognize. And hundreds of alien eyes watched her, from seats arranged in a great circle. She was nervous. Her hands trembled slightly, and her heart beat fast. But she did not show her fear. She stood straight, wearing her medical uniform with its badge of the Human Exploration Corps. Beside her stood Kira, tall and proud, wearing the formal robes of a Valari delegate. They were here to make history. Members of the Galactic Council, Kira spoke, her voice carrying through the chamber. I come before you today to share a story about kindness, a story about debt, and a story about what makes a species worthy of respect. End quote. The chamber was silent. All eyes focused on the Valari and the small human beside her. 7 months ago, I was a cub on an unnamed planet. My parents had been killed by predators. I was injured and alone. Death was certain. And then a human appeared. Kira turned to look at Yuna. Her golden eyes shone with emotion. This human was not a warrior. She was a healer. She had no reason to help me. I was not her species. I was not her people. I was nothing to her. But she saw a small creature in pain, and her heart told her to act. The chamber remained silent. Representatives leaned forward, listening. She gave me medicine from her own supplies. She picked me up in her arms when I could not walk. And when predators attacked, she used her own body as a shield. She was wounded terribly. She almost died, and she did all this for a cub she had known for less than 10 minutes. Kira paused, letting the words sink in. I was rescued by my own people weeks later. I grew up. I searched for this human. I traveled across the galaxy to find her. And when I found her, she was in a coma, sleeping without knowing if she would ever wake up. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Some representatives looked confused. Others looked moved. A few Valari elders nodded slowly, understanding the significance. I waited beside her bed, Kira continued. I waited until she woke up. And when she opened her eyes, do you know what she said? She asked if I had survived. She asked if the small creature she saved was okay. Even after months of darkness, her first thought was of someone else. Kira stood taller, her voice growing stronger. The Valari have long considered humans to be a young species. Primitive. Unimportant. We have kept them at a distance, believing they had nothing to offer the galaxy. But I stand before you today to say we were wrong. Gasps echoed through the chamber. A Valari admitting their species was wrong was almost unheard of. Humans are not powerful. Their bodies are fragile. Their lives are short. They do not have perfect memory. They cannot travel as fast or build as well as many species here. But they have something precious, something rare. They have the capacity for compassion that crosses all boundaries. Kira turned to face the full council. This human did not save me because she expected reward. She did not save me because of duty or logic. She saved me because she felt my pain and could not ignore it. She saw a small hurt creature, and her heart said, help. That is the human way. That is what makes them valuable. She gestured to Yuna. I asked her once why she did it. Why she risked her life for a creature she did not know. Do you know what she said? She said, I could not leave you alone in the dark. Yuna felt tears forming in her eyes. She remembered saying those words during one of their conversations in the hospital. She did not know Kira would share them with the galaxy. I could not leave you alone in the dark, Kira repeated. This is humanity. This is what they offer to the stars. Not technology, not military might, but a willingness to reach out, to care, to comfort those who suffer, even when it costs them everything. The chamber was completely silent now. Even species who had spoken against humans in the past were listening. Among my people, saving a life creates an eternal bond. I owe this human everything. But I have come to understand that my debt is not just to her. It is to humanity itself. Because what she did is not unusual for her kind. Everywhere humans go, they form connections. They help others. They choose kindness, even when it brings them pain. Kira took a deep breath. I have spoken with the elders of my people. I have told them my story, and I have made a proposal. I believe the Valari should offer alliance to humanity. True alliance. Full partnership in the galactic community. This caused a stir. Valari alliance was one of the most valued things in the galaxy. They had not offered it to any new species in over 200 years. Some will say this is foolish. Some will say humans are too young, too weak, too short-lived to matter. But I say those voices are blind. They see only what is on the surface. They do not see the strength that lives in human hearts. Kira turned to Yuna one final time. She knelt before her, placing herself lower than the human, just as she had done in the hospital. I declare before this council that humanity has earned my respect. They have earned the respect of my people, and any species that ignores their worth does so at its own loss. Yuna looked down at Kira, her friend, her sister in spirit. She reached out and placed her hand on Kira's shoulder. Stand up, she said softly. You do not need to kneel to me. Not anymore. Kira rose and stood beside Yuna. They faced the council together, human and Valari, side by side. The council voted that day. It was not unanimous. Some species still doubted, some still questioned. But enough voted yes. Enough saw what Kira had shown them. Humanity was granted full partnership in the galactic community. For the first time in their history, they were recognized not as young primitives, but as valuable members of the galactic family. And it had all started with one act of kindness in a dark forest. After the council meeting, Yuna and Kira walked through the station together. News reporters followed them, asking questions, taking pictures. But the two friends ignored them. "I cannot believe that happened," Yuna said quietly. "I cannot believe you spoke like that. To the whole galaxy." Kira smiled. "I spoke the truth. It was easy, but you called me your family. You said humans deserve alliance. The Valari have never said anything like that before." Quote, "Then it was time for change," Kira said simply. "And you made it possible. You and that moment in the forest. One act of kindness changed everything." They found a quiet observation room with windows looking out at the stars. They stood together, watching the distant lights. "What happens now?" Yuna asked. "Now, everything changes. Humans will be invited to Valari space. There will be exchange programs, shared research, new friendships. The galaxy will learn what I learned. That kindness is the strongest power there is." Yuna shook her head slowly. "I just saved a cub. I did not plan any of this." "That is the point," Kira said. "You did not plan it. You did not calculate. You just acted from your heart. That is what makes it meaningful." They were quiet for a moment. Then Kira spoke again. "In my culture, there is a saying, 'The smallest action can echo through eternity.' You created an echo that day. It reached me. It reached my people. And now it reaches the whole galaxy." Yuna laughed softly. "All because I could not ignore a crying cub." "All because you are human," Kira corrected. "All because humans are capable of love that crosses every boundary." They stood together, watching the stars. Behind them, the galaxy was changing. New alliances were forming. Old prejudices were falling, and at the center of it all was a simple truth that an alien and a human had discovered together. Kindness matters. Compassion connects. And the smallest act of love can change everything. Years later, people would tell the story of Yuna and Kira. They would tell how a human medic saved an alien cub and started a new era of cooperation. They would tell how that cub grew up, found the human, and waited by her bed until she woke up. They would tell how their friendship inspired an entire galaxy. But for Yuna and Kira, the story was simpler. It was about two hearts that found each other across the distance of stars. It was about a bond that could never be broken. It was about family, not of blood but of choice. On the day Yuna finally visited the Valari homeworld, she was greeted as a hero. Thousands of Valari lined the streets to see her. Children waved, elders bowed. The sky was filled with flowers thrown in celebration. Kira walked beside her, proud and happy. She had brought her human sister home. "Welcome to my world," Kira said. "The first human to ever walk here. Not as a visitor, as family." Quote, Yuna looked around at the beautiful alien world. Mountains of crystal rose in the distance. Rivers of silver water flowed through valleys of purple grass. It was strange and wonderful, and nothing like Earth. But when she looked at Kira, she felt at home. "Thank you," Yuna said, "for everything, for finding me, for waiting, for believing in me." Kira smiled, her golden eyes bright with joy. "Thank you for saving me, for being kind when you had no reason to be, for showing me what humanity truly means." They embraced, human and Valari, friends and sisters. Around them, the crowd cheered. Above them, the stars shone, and somewhere in the galaxy, the echo of a small act of kindness continued spreading. Connecting worlds, bridging differences, proving what had always been true. Humanity's greatest weapon was never its warships. It was kindness. And kindness, once given, never fades. It lives forever in memory. It grows stronger with time, and it changes everything it touches. That is the human way. That is the gift they offer to the stars, and the galaxy, at last, was ready to accept it.